presentation, which is, I think, the one from Daniel Costa, yes, about foraging behavior of leopard seals. So, Dan, if you can share your screen, please.
So you see it?
Yeah, it's in full view mode, so thank you. Here you go, 5 minutes.
I'm Dan Costa, giving an update on some work in progress. This is a 3-year project on studying the foraging ecology of leopard seals. I'm going to try and put it in a context of the other species in the area. What is interesting is over the last couple of decades, we've been doing collectively a lot of work on Weddell seals, Antarctic fur seals, crab-eaters, and elephant seals. And leopard seals have been pretty much, they're not the easiest animal to work with, but they've sort of been the last one to really be the focus of study. Now, what's important about them is where all these other guys feed on krill, specialists, fish, krill, and squid, fish, leopard seals feed on almost everything, but most importantly, in addition to krill, they feed on penguins and other seals. And there's a lot of evidence that they actually have a keystone predator effect, that they do have an impact, certainly on fur seal and penguin populations. And a lot of the dynamics of how climate change is affecting these animals and what might be changing is really unknown. And it's hard, there is no real baseline. And so part of our effort is to just figure out what is the normal, at least as much as we can, and get an idea of the movement patterns of these animals and their physiology to see how plastic they might be in their foraging behavior. We would have had our last field season this last April, May, but obviously the pandemic prevented that. This work will continue. Hopefully we are scheduled to do our final field season next year. The work is looking at both the physiology and foraging ecology of these animals, sort of a combination of looking at what they do and how they're built to do it. But I'll just give you a quick overview of what we've learned about their foraging behavior. So these are tracks, the little wiggles are individual animals as we put out the tags. And the first thing you'll notice is they are moving around the South Shetland Islands. And if you looked at that in a much more higher resolution, you'd see that they're moving from penguin colony and fur seal colony to fur seal colony. So these guys are certainly moving through the region looking for penguins and fur seals to feed on. These tags were put out in the autumn, and so we're looking predominantly at the winter foraging patterns of leopard seals. Now you ask, okay, that's interesting. How does that compare to the other species? So we have Antarctic fur seals, leopard seal, crab-eater seal, elephant seal, and Weddell, and you'll see that their diving patterns their foraging patterns are quite different. These are, those are elephant seals, and crab-eater seals are moving in here. And you can see that the leopard seals had a very different movement pattern compared to most of the other seals in the area. The only other seal that is a little bit more resident than the leopard seal is the Weddell seal, which tends not to move around very much. But all the other species of seals are actually quite mobile compared to our leopard seals. Now, to put that in a little better context, you can see the white here is our movement patterns of leopard seals. They predominantly move around the South Shetlands, but you can see some individuals make their way over to South Georgia Island, and tag resites have been done by Basque folks at Bird Island that have seen leopard seals coming across this area. So leopards do move around, but the majority of their movement patterns are pretty much limited to the South Shetlands. You can see Antarctic fur seals are moving quite all over the area, as are elephant seals, and the crab-eater seals do move around, but are much more limited to staying in the Antarctic Peninsula region. So how do they compare in terms of their diving ability? Well, leopard seals are right here. These are the black dots. They're kind of a shallow diving animal. These are our crab-eater seals. This isn't surprising considering that they're feeding on penguins and fur seals, and they're getting them typically near the colonies and feeding predominantly on juveniles. We can see our Weddell seal is a little bit deeper diving seal, both in terms of how deep and how long. And of course, then we move on to the elephant seals, which are the the true deep feeding and mesopelagic squid and fish, and are the deepest deepest diving seal, period, whether it's the Antarctic or anywhere else. In terms of how are they built, we've been studying, seeing that they're a shallow, short duration diver. We shouldn't be surprised that they're oxygen stores, which are a function of their myoglobin capacity, is similar to the shallow, shorter diving crab-eared seals, and much less than what we see in our elephant seals and Weddell seals, which are much deeper divers. Leopard seal, again, in terms of the blood volume, also its oxygen stores, showing has a much lower oxybody blood volume than we see in the deeper diving species. So as I said, this is a work in progress, and if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. And if I didn't mention it, this work is being done at the US AMLAR Research Center Station, Field Summer Station at Cape Sheref. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan, for a great presentation. Moving up a little bit up on the food chain. So I don't know if there is any question. We have time for one. Okay, if not, we will keep that for the last phase of the workshop. Thank you, Dan, again.